But Trotskyism isn't really that. Trotsky built a movement once he was exiled. In fact, he started a little before that, where there really was a cult. There was really a cult around Trotsky, even in his own lifetime. His followers just hung on his every word. Now, I'm writing a book on Trotsky now. One of the things we can prove, thanks to the opening of not only the Soviet archives, but the Trotsky archives at Harvard, at the university, and at the Hoover Institution, one of the things we can prove is that Trotsky, after 1935, Trotsky deliberately lied about the Soviet Union, about the Moscow trials, time and again. Not that we can prove that he deliberately lied. That is to say that he really thought something different than what he was saying. And that's very interesting. And the Trotskyists themselves discovered this back in 1980 and then through the 1990s. But they never write about it. It's really covered up. It's worth looking into this in part because Trotsky was mainly writing for his own followers. That is, who was reading Trotsky in the 30s, and the 40s, and the early 50s? It was mainly Trotskyists, followers of Trotsky. And he was lying. And of course, since he had to lie to the world, he had to lie to them. He had to falsify to them, too. So the Trotskyists he was preaching, so to speak, writing stuff that he himself knew was false, but that was accepted by his followers as true. And that's an interesting result. And I think it's worth writing about, and I'm going to write about it. What changed Trotsky's reputation was Khrushchev's secret speech. There's a book by David North, who is a Trotskyist, about defending the legacy of Leon Trotsky. You can buy it out here. Yeah, it's a book by David North. It's a Trotskyist book. It's full of falsehoods about Stalin and so forth, but it's an attempt to defend Trotsky. And it's been recommended to me by leading Trotskyists, so I studied it. And North says many things, but one of the things he says is that that's what caused Trotsky's reputation to skyrocket. It was two things. Number one, Khrushchev's secret speech, which we now know is false, right? It's all false. The Khrushchev's secret speech, if you accept it as true, as it was accepted at that time by many people, seemed to make Trotsky look like a prophet. It seemed to me, it seemed to be that, oh, Trotsky was saying this all along, and now Khrushchev is saying it, so it's true. And that caused Trotsky's reputation to rise and the Trotskyist movement to gain strength around the world. And the second thing was the biography of Trotsky by Isaac Deutscher, particularly the third volume, which came out in 60 or 61, something like that. And that book, which is a terrible book, I've studied it very carefully, it's terribly incompetent, dishonest. It's hard to tell whether incompetence or dishonesty raised the best, but it got all of these awards, and it makes Trotsky out to be an absolutely world-beating hero, as well as a tragic figure. Were responsible for the escalation of Trotsky's reputation. But we now have enough documents, we have enough evidence to show that the truth was really very, very different. Trotsky deliberately lied and falsified throughout the last period of his life, and now we can show it. So that's why I'm writing this next book. So that I don't deny what you say about the petty bourgeoisie.